Good.
Fuck you for ever getting me involved in this.
We didn't even talk about that. I didn't even talk about the fact that
I should have never taken that phone call.
we're just like, oh, where do you live? I'm like, I live in East Mesa. I fucking live in East Mesa
oh yeah,
too.
we didn't talk about
Yeah,
that.
like-
so him.
You could talk about it now.
Yeah, right. So there's so many funny things that happen. Like Catherine and I, we have the same birthday. We're like born on the same day. Him and I thought he lived in New York.
Yep.
So I'm like, hey, if you're ever in Phoenix, like, come on by and like, let's hang out. He's like, I live in Phoenix. I'm like, what do you mean you live in Phoenix? He goes, where do you live? I said, I live in Mesa. He goes, I live in Mesa. Where do you live in Mesa? I said, well, Eastmark.
Yeah.
He goes, I live in Eastmark. I'm like, no way. We're like a mile away from each other. We live a mile apart. I didn't know this. I thought he was in New York.
For months, had no idea.
Months. We're texting.
And that's when I found out, because like I said, in the beginning, I'm like, oh, this guy's been getting Afghans out for weeks. I'm like, he's going to get Gholam out. And then when I go visit him, because we're like, come to my house, we'll have some cigars and scotch. I'm like, cool. And he's like, just so you know, I never got involved in this until I got your fucking phone call. I'm like, what? He's like, it's meant to be, brother. It's meant to be. We're getting Gholam out, I promise you. But he's the reason I got involved in this whole fucking thing. He's like, I was working on my golf game, my handicap, like this whole fucking, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you haven't been doing this for fucking weeks? I was like, oh, shit. But it was like, well, fuck. But just the way we talk the same language, you know, special ops, just, I knew. And like when I was sending other people to him, and they're like, they actually called me up. They're like, okay. And it was another organization. It was, forget what, Jennifer's group. There's a whole other organization that were helping Afghans. And they're like, they called me up to interview me on why they should trust this motherfucker. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to tell you everything that's happened to Gholam and the whole story and how MARSOC failed me. No offense on MARSOC. They were under orders, but everyone had failed me. The government failed me. And then I go, this motherfucker just kind of comes in the picture like, I'll get him out. I'll get him out. And it's just his demeanor, the way he and I interacted just over text and calls. I'm like, in my gut, I go, this guy's going to get him out. And I told that to this group, and I'm like, I'm telling you, he hasn't gotten Gholam out yet, but I believe he will. And this is why. It's just, we connected on a different level, and we hadn't even met each other at that point. And I'm like,
we didn't even know we lived a mile from each other.
You wouldn't even know we lived a mile apart. I'm like,
we live a mile from each other.
I'm just like,
I thought he lived in New York.
Yeah, I'm like, there's something about this motherfucker. I'm like, I trust him. I trust him with my life, and therefore his life.
Yeah.
So he's going to get my guy out, and I'm like, you should trust him too. And they did. And you know what happened? Is
I got their people out first.
He got their people out before Gholam into Pakistan, and they had a beautiful baby girl. They had this beautiful baby girl and sent us sent him a picture, and he sends me the picture, and I'm like, this would not have happened if it wasn't for Stacy getting their people out. They had this beautiful baby girl that was born free. You know, I was just like, this is amazing.
Well, there were certain 3-letter agencies as well that contacted me and said, hey, can you help us get our people out? I'm like, what world am I living in when I'm sitting in my home office and I got a certain 3-letter agency calling me saying, hey, can you help me get my people out? I'm like, what's happening here? But I got their people out. I got them out to Germany too. That was before I got Gholam out.
Anyway, I'm very happy right now because I was the one that he called some other guys, and then they gave him his contact. Then he has his contact, as they were thinking that these two guys are just living far away. Then these guys are living very, very near together.
It's so
and
bizarre.
I'm happy right now. They're brothers right now. Everybody of these guys, every one of these guys are friends.
If anything, it says that like God is real.
Oh, totally real.
Because you know he's sitting up there laughing at us. He's like,
that was the whole conversation.
We live less than a mile apart from
Gholam
each other.
had no idea, and I was like, bro, so I'm just letting you know, I'm at Stacy's house right now. I was like, yeah, motherfucker lives a mile from my house. I was like, guess what? He was not doing any Afghan evacuations before you. You're the fucking reason he started this whole thing. I go, this is meant to be. You're the reason this guy got so involved, and not only did he get you out, but he saved thousands of other people.
I'm very happy that that because of me, I'm not saying I'm some of those guys that I'm the champion, but I'm very happy that these two guys found each other, and through organizations they helped out some other Afghans to get out of Afghanistan. I'm very happy, and the most happiness I have is just these two guys found each other, and they're really friendly right now. They go each other's houses that other Americans don't go. Not offensive, but they are going like Afghans. I told him, if you want to be together more, just be more Afghan style. That's why they're doing right now. They're coming and going like I was doing the same thing with my relatives. Yeah.
I will say, you know, it takes basically sheer willpower to get this motherfucker out. And it was just, I would move heaven and earth for this motherfucker because he is my brother. And I was hounding this guy nonstop, like, you said you get him out, and he's like, nope, it's happening. I'm only involved because of Gholam and because of you. And I'm like, all right, it's gonna happen. This will happen. And I just had to believe that. But just the sheer love I had for this guy.
Okay, because to wrap it up, can you give me the names real quick? Because it's a great story, as you know, it's a real deal. But people want to know your names. Is that okay to give out your names?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, Staff Sergeant Michael Tritt, former aerial gunner on the 20th and 21st SOS in the U.S. Air Force.
Stacy Gentili, Duke, 13 years, U.S. Army Recon.
Gholam Abdullahi, former interpreter for U.S. forces in Afghanistan.
Well, you with MAAP Real Talk Show here in Arizona. We're going to be having more episodes of this. Right now, we recorded 2. I hope you guys are going to be watching this. As you see, these guys, they're lovely, like they're telling you the story, but it was kind of scary sometimes. So stay tuned for this is all funny, but the real deal is you're going to be listening to it in a couple weeks, right? Is that okay with you?
Yeah, whatever you want.
So in a couple weeks, you're going to see it live. There's 2 hours recording that we just did today, and hopefully we'll have more to come as the stories develop, because for me, I think I need 72 hours after listening to you, and it was only done like in a few minutes, but I just want you to know.
It could be more.
Yeah, I'm being very honest. I want to really thank you so much for speaking with MAAP Real Talk Show, because it is a real deal, and I appreciate you. And thank you for doing this service, and thank you for your service on all of you, and especially you. Welcome to the United States, and we appreciate you as well.
Thank you, too.
Thank you for all the work you did back
Thank you.
in your country for the United States. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, George.
Thank you, sir.
George.